What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy, Faithful to God. I am here with my brother in Christ, LeBron, and we about to go in on somebody who has been kind of, playing a little dirty, misrepresenting us. This dude by the name of Michael. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to give him any sort of promotion more than he needs. And yeah, man. Matter of fact, you know what? I'll just say his name. This is about Michael Edwards and the tomfoolery that he's doing behind the scenes. He purports to be a scholar, but obviously his scholarship ain't up to par, especially if he's uploading the kind of stuff that he's uploading on his channel, like the 2 recent videos that he did on LaRon and myself. So anyways, LaRon, I want you to go ahead and share for everybody out there what happened. Let everybody know what happened with Michael Edwards yesterday, so everybody can get an idea of why we're making this hangout.
What's going on? Peace to the family out there. I appreciate you, Faithful, for having me on. Yeah, once again, Michael Edwards has been in the conscious community as well as the Israelite community, as always, cause of confusion. This brother, he's supposed to be a believer, but he doesn't have the fruits of the Spirit at all. So we're going to be dealing with some of those things today, plus his scholarship. Now, what took place in this occasion is that we wanted to have a discussion with the brother, so we called the brother up. And when we called him up, we thought the dialogue was going to go well. Well, I knew it wasn't going to go well, but I gave Faithful to be, I gave him the right to fellowship with the brother, and took it from there. So anyways, immediately, as y'all know, Michael Edwards, he's the cutoff artist. He thinks he knows everything. He doesn't listen for nothing. The Bible says be slow to speak and quick to listen. He did none of that. They had a dialogue. Michael Edwards got 5 minutes. Faithful God did not cut him off. He let him get his 5 minutes. As soon as Faithful of God went to get his 5 minutes, it was a problem with that. Michael began to consistently cut him off, overtalk him. As I stated to people before, Michael Edwards has a lunatic spirit on him, so let's pray to God that we can get that lunatic spirit up off of him. And I don't think he's, I don't know if he's conscious of it, but I'm pretty sure those who have dealt with Michael Edwards, what the issue is, his brother, he consistently stalks Israel doctrine, consistently stalks other people in the conscious community and also in the black community, as well as James White, which has not responded to none of his videos.
Hey, brother, real quick, if I can interject very quickly, when we called him, right, because you do have camaraderie with him, or you did have camaraderie at one point. The whole reason we were talking to him is just to have a cordial conversation amongst people who deal with the information, because that's what we deal with. It wasn't anything more than anything less. And I told him, I said, I actually made a video on him. That's the video on my channel called Hebrew Israelite Proponent Embarrasses Himself Against Christians. And the reason I made that video is because Michael Edwards, just really bad arguments, man. That was the conversation with James White. And I just wanted to get his take, since he never responded to that video, on why he was using those bad arguments, right? Now, true or false? Did I come at him with disrespect initially? In other words, when I posed the question to him, did I come at him with disrespect at all?
Not at all. It was fair game. We just wanted to really deal with the scholarship, and it did in the middle got kind of heated, but you apologized and he apologized, and Michael Edwards continued it on. Then he started cussing me out.
Now watch this. There was something that I did that now he's trying to misrepresent, right? He made his argument concerning the letter J. I didn't bring up the letter J. He brought up the letter J, right? He brought up the letter J. Now, when I went to go rebuttal, I think he stopped me and then he asked me a question before I could even get to my 5 minutes. And he asked me if the J was a vowel, right? Now the thing was, I wasn't paying attention because I'm really just trying to focus on getting to my time. I really wasn't really, I was kind of like halfway not listening because I'm really just trying to rebuttal the other stuff that he was talking about, which I never got a chance to. And so I kind of overspoke. Now, true or false, did I correct myself after Michael kind of let it be known, hey, what you talking about? When he said,
Right, right,
what are you talking about?
right. You definitely correct yourself, because what was going on is this: Michael Edwards just kept talking. He just kept talking. So
Right.
what Faithful did, he hurried up and said, "Yeah, yeah, 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 man, yeah." Just to really shut the guy up, because he kept talking. So once Michael Edwards clarified his question again, and he was like, so you say that J is a vowel, and then that's when the faithful guy was like, no, no, no. He was like, but you just said it did. He was like, well, I was listening to you. Well, not listening to him due to the fact that he just kept talking, and we kept trying to tell him, hey man, calm down, slow it down, calm down. So Faithful was really just trying to get him to get on with his point so he can go ahead and take his 5 minutes, which he never got.
Mm-hmm. And then what did he do? When I started trying to talk, he cut me off. Then he had the nerve to say that, stop being a little B. I'm not going to repeat the word. He basically started trying to disrespect me, calling me dummy, just doing all types of extra stuff. Like nobody had disrespected that man. So what I did was, I won't lie, I did get under his skin, and I called him Michelle. I gotta admit, I did say that to him. I said, calm down, Michelle, calm down, baby girl. It'll be okay, because he kept over talking me. Now, granted, that wasn't right. I shouldn't have done that. It was something that happened in the moment. Hence why when he called back, I went and first thing I said before he could say anything was, listen, I want to be a man and I want to apologize to you because that was not right. Because I did realize that regardless of whether he started it or not, it was incorrect. Now, with that being said, the funny thing is I wanted him to understand, listen, I'm wrong for what I did, but bro, you were doing some disrespectful stuff. As soon as I go to get into that, he basically talks about, man, you trying to slap me in the face after you apologize, blah, 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 blah. And he just went on this long rant and basically started, just cursing, dropping GD. And this is supposed to be a man of the Lord talking about we're not righteous, and yet he's not bridling his tongue, as scripture says. What does James chapter 1 say, verse 26, when it talks about if a man says he's religious and bridles not his tongue, then his religion is vain. And the problem is that Michael Edwards claims to be a scholar, claims to be a man of God. He had the nerve to tell us that he's filled with God. Well, the Bible says that what comes out of the mouth comes from the heart. So the wickedness that was coming out of him is in his heart. And I don't believe that God dwells where wickedness is. So needless to say, he was wrong. He did not want to apologize. LaRon had to end up ending the call, and Michael continued to text LaRon. And, we pretty much decided at first we were going to make a hangout, but we said, you know what? I told LaRon, let's not do that. You know what? That's water under a bridge. If he doesn't say anything about it, we leave it alone. At some point in time, we can talk it out with him. We can reconcile this, even if we don't agree with him, even if we don't see him as a believer, at the very least, just as men, we can reconcile. But what did Michael do? He made 2 videos trying to misrepresent us. I didn't watch the second one. I'm going to be honest. But I'm going to address the first video. This is the funny thing. So his whole argument was really centered on the letter J, because as many Hebrew Israelite proponents like to do, they got to argue the letter J and, the term Jewish, because they want to have, basically, they want to distance themselves from anything that has to do with what they claim is quote unquote white Jews, right? Well, let's go into some information right now. This is what I was going to bring out. So Michael said that the Roman alphabet, now this was 3 minutes into his video, the letter J video on his channel. He said that there's no such thing as a Roman or Latin alphabet. Now, this is what I find ironic. I'm going to screen share. You guys are about to see in a moment. I'm going to show this from the Encyclopedia Britannica. I want you guys to look. And anybody can go to Michael Edwards' channel and see his video and check it out for yourselves. It's 3 minutes in, roughly 3 minutes in his video on his channel. Now look what it says right here. Latin alphabet. Now he said there's no such thing as a Latin alphabet, but look what it says. Latin alphabet, also called Roman alphabet, most widely used alphabetic writing system in the world, the standard of script of the English language and the languages of most of Europe and those areas settled by Europeans. Developed by the Etruscan alphabet at some time before 600 BC. It can be traced through the Etruscan Greek and the Phoenician script to the North Semitic alphabet used in Syria and Palestine about 1100 BC. The earliest inscription in the Latin alphabet appears on the, I'm going to mispronounce this, Praneste fibula, a cloak pin dating from about the 7th century BC, which reads, Manios med fefecad numasoi, or in classical Latin, manes fe fecit numerio, meaning manus made me for numerous. Now, I want to show something. Now, look what it says right here. The classical Latin alphabet consisted of 23 letters, 21 of which were derived from the Etruscan alphabet. In medieval times, the letter I was differentiated into I and J and V into U, V and W, producing an alphabet equivalent to that of the modern English with 26 letters. Now, as you can see down here, you look at the Latin alphabet, you're going to notice something. I'm going to make this big. You guys see the I right there? You see the I? You notice that there's a J? Notice there's an I and a J? According to Michael Edwards, this shouldn't look this way. Now, this is the funny thing. The letter J, this is what I was going to bring out in my conversation with him. J is the 10th letter in the modern English alphabet and the ISO basic Latin alphabet. Its normal name in English is J, or now commonly, I don't know how to pronounce this, but when used for the palatal approximate, it may be called Yud or Yat. Now look, this is the history. The letter J originated as a swashed letter used for the letter I at the end of Roman numerals when following another I, as in XXIIJ or XXIIJ in lowercase instead of uppercase XXIII. Now, this is what's crazy to me. I mean, you guys can read the rest of this for yourselves. It's on the screen. I mean, Michael acted like when I brought up the Latin, he had the nerve to say, why are you bringing up the Latin? Well, Michael, if you're talking about the letter J, we have to talk about the Latin. Because the J was a swash character. It was literally another character for the letter I. Now I'm going to show something else. Because some people might say, oh, well, that's Wikipedia. That's not a good source, or, you know, you got to use something better. Well, let me use the Encyclopedia Britannica article for the letter J, because it wasn't on their site, but I actually have a copy of it on my computer. If you guys give me a second, I'm going to screen share. I'm going to show that. All right. Now look at this. Okay, give me a second, y'all. Okay, you guys can see my screen. Look what it says. It says letter J of the alphabet, which as far as form is concerned, is only a modification of the Latin I and dates back with a separate value only to the 15th century, which is true. But the thing is that the letter J derives from the letter I because it was literally the letter I. It was just a fancy way of writing the I. This is crazy that I have to show this man this stuff. This should be common sense, man. This is this is stuff that they probably teach you in like middle school or something, or high school or something, man. Now I want to show something else. In Michael's video, he shows the KJV 1611, right? And he shows where obviously in every instance, like for example, John is spelled Jan, or we would say Jan, but it's, you know, with the I. And watch this. Let me show y'all a copy of the 1611, which has the swatch character for the letter I, which was the only thing that I was trying to tell Michael. If you guys can see my screen, look at this right here. Boom. Now, I don't know what this thing is. If y'all see that thing that says Berean Study Bible, I don't know what that is, y'all, but please bear with me. But now look what it says right here. Do you see how Isaac is spelled with a fancy, like it's almost like a J, and Jacob is spelled with a J, and even the I is spelled with a J? But look up here. Do you notice that Jehovah is with an I? In fact, let me see if there's one down here. You guys see how Jehovah is spelled with an I, but next to it is the swatch character, since the J and the I were used interchangeably. Now, why did that stop happening? Not because of collusion, as Michael was trying to argue, because Michael was making this big conjectured argument for collusion, trying to make this crazy conspiracy theory, when truth be told, the reason why the letter J and the I were separated was because of the great vowel shift. And you guys don't believe me, look at it right here. I have the article that talks about the great vowel shift. Just give me a moment. All right. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can screen share this real quick, y'all. Got a lot of windows open. Okay, if you guys can see my screen, this is the article that deals with the great vowel shift. Okay, the great vowel shift was a major change in pronunciation of the English language that took place in England between 1350 and 1600 AD, obviously. Through the great vowel shift, all Middle English long vowels changed their pronunciation. English spelling was becoming standardized in the 15th and 16th century, and the great vowel shift is responsible for many of the peculiarities of the English spelling. Now, if you guys want, I'll leave all these articles in the description of this video so everybody can check them out. I'm going to show something else, matter of fact. I'm gonna keep driving this home because I feel like Michael is super ignorant. Now, I showed you the Encyclopedia Britannica. Let me bring another witness into this. Let me bring the American Heritage Dictionary. Okay, this is the American Heritage Dictionary, and this is their entry again on the development of the letter J. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. Now look what it says right here. Now I'm going to read this. You see the letter J develops. Notice that in the Phoenician, or even in what they would call the Paleo script in the Hebrew, it's the letter Y. But in the Greek, that Y becomes an I. In the Roman, notice that there's an I and a J. Then down here in the medieval, you see the I and the two J's. Now in the modern, we see all J's. It says around 1100 BC, the Phoenicians and other Semites of Syria and Palestine began to use a graph sign in the form 1 and 2, which are these up here. They gave it the name Yud, meaning hand, and used it for a semi-consonant Y, as in English boy, boys. After 900 BC, the Greeks borrowed the sign from the Phoenicians, using it at first various angular versions, which is 3, 4, 5, right? And then simplified form, which is 6. They also changed its name to the iota and made it stand for their vowel I. The Greek form 6 passed unchanged via Etruscan to the Roman alphabet. Notice the Roman alphabet, Mr. Edwards, that you say didn't exist. The Romans used the sign both for the vowel I and the semi-consonant Y, as in Yesit. When subsequently the need arose to differentiate the two sounds, an unsystematic habit grew up of adding a tail to the end of the I for the semi-consonant, as in the late Roman and medieval unical, which is 9 and 10, and cursive for 11. The distinction was not fully established until the 17th century, when the capital, that's 12 and 13, that's up here, y'all, this is right here, and small letter 14 and 15 took their modern forms. the dot on the small letter was carried over from the letter I. Now, with that being said, I mean, this is real simple. Whenever you guys hear Hebrew Israelite proponents say, well, there wasn't no letter J in Hebrew. Well, the truth of the matter is that the letter J was the letter I, and the letter I was the Greek equivalent of the Hebrew Yod or Yud, the Y. This is basic, like, I mean, this is like elementary level understanding of these topics. I mean, anybody can look this up. I'm sure that they probably teach this in like elementary, man, like in third grade or something, fourth grade. But needless to say, the funny part is this. So I pointed out the fact that obviously the Y, the I, and the J were originally all the same character, just in these different languages. Now, the funny thing is, in Scandinavian languages, and even some languages like Slavic languages, the J to this day retains the Y sound. Why do you think that a country like Yugoslavia, which we literally spell with a Y, is actually spelled with a J in Scandinavian, or excuse me, in Slavic? I mean, these are just basic understandings of, I mean, why do you think certain people that come from like Scandinavian, man, why do you think certain people that come from Scandinavian and Slavic countries who have the name Johan, the way that we would spell it, you know, for J, Johan, that's how we would pronounce it in English. Why do you think they pronounce their names Johan? I mean, come on, man. And here's another thing. Michael's whole argument was about, well, you can't use the term Jewish because that term Jewish, that's all collusion. That's the Jews. You know, they were trying to create, you know, this supposedly, I guess he's trying to say that they created some sort of like system where they're trying to like hide things or whatever, you know, just a bunch of crazy, conjectured, nonsensical, you know, just etymological fallacies. Well, I'm going to show something. Let's look at the definition of the ish suffix, because Michael says that the ish suffix is a misnomer, and I pointed this out in my video to him, which he never responded to. Let's look at the ish suffix. Ish, and this is Merriam-Webster dictionary. Adjective suffix. Definition of ish: of, relating to, or being, chiefly in adjectives indicating nationality or ethnic group. Finish. In other words, what Michael wants to do in the definition of ish is look for the terms that means sort of like. So for example, you know, characteristics of boyish, or having a touch or trace of purplish, somewhat darkish, having the approximate age of 40-ish. But he won't look at this one up here, seeing as the ish suffix denotes that the person belongs to the people group. Hence why the term ish is employed. It is a correct adjective in English for anybody. So for example, the term Jewish. Here's the Merriam-Webster dictionary article on Jewish. Look what it says. Of, relating to, or characteristics of the Jews, also being a Jew. In other words, a person is Jewish regardless of what their phenotype is or their skin color. If they are a Jew, they are Jewish. It is a correct adjective in English. But here's the funny thing. He'll probably, you know, argue and say, well, you know, that is suffix that was created by, you know, the white man, or, you know, whatever he might say. But here's the funny thing. The ish suffix actually appears in Leviticus 24:10 in reference to an Israelite woman. And it says, and the son of an Israelite-ish woman whose father was among the children of Israel. Now, I'm not going to read the rest. Very easy to understand. Now, who was the father of this Israelitish woman? And it says, and the Israelitish woman's son blasphemed the name of the Lord and cursed, and they brought him unto Moses. And his mother's name was Shelomith, the daughter of Debri of the tribe of Dan. Now, lest they say, oh, well, the reason she's being called Israelitish is because that term, you know, her father, well, that wasn't even her father. That was really her mother. You know, her father was someone else, probably the Egyptian. They'll probably make the argument that the father was the Egyptian, even though that's talking about the boy's father, and, you know, which was her husband. But look, Debris, what does it say? Proper name masculine. So there you go. You have an Israelite woman being referred to as Israelite-ish. I mean, this is just simple stuff, man. And to be perfectly honest, I really don't see, why Michael was making such a big issue out of words. I mean, to be honest, the only reason I'm doing this response is because he did his, and it should not have gone to the point that it did. But I will quote 2 Timothy 2:14, which says the following: of these things put in remembrance, charge them before the Lord, that they strive not about words to no profit, but to the subverting of the hearers. In other words, don't waste your time arguing over words. You're not going to prove your case, your conjectured conspiracy theory, arguing over words, Michael Edwards. That's not the way it works, bro. To be honest, the only reason I'm doing this again is just to prove a point. I want to show one more thing too. I'm going to probably wrap it up with this. Let me show you guys the letter J, or the swash character I, in a Bible that predates the KJV. The 1611 KJV, which is Tyndale's Bible. Now look at this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I want y'all to look at this. And I'm honest. When I say I will not be responding to any more Michael Edwards videos, best believe that, because I'm not about to strive over words and make this bigger than what it already is. And to be honest, Michael has a lot more problems than just the letter J and the ish suffix. So this is William Tyndale, and you can see it up here in the title of this picture, the 1525 edition. Now look at the word. Now look at John. Look how John is spelled, with a J. Y'all see that? Y'all see how John is spelled? Now, let me get another picture. Let me go ahead and get another one. Drive this point home again. Okay, now look at this one. Again, this is from, I believe, the same Bible. Lest they say, oh, well, that's Photoshop or something crazy. Same Bible. There we go. John, spelled with a J. And this is, again, 1525, if I'm not mistaken. Now, let me show you the 1538 edition. We're going to see the same thing going on. Okay, so this is the 1538 edition of that same Bible. Y'all just give me a moment. Here we go. I'm going to present, and there you go. Notice again, John's name is spelled with a J. Furthermore, has Michael noticed that the S was spelled with like an F? Even in the King James 1611, the S is spelled like an F. Not to mention the fact that you have the U, or, well, I mean, this one could be a little debatable because some people could say that around this time. But look at this. I mean, enough said, right? So anyways, man, that's pretty much all I got to say about this, man. Michael, I honestly think, bro, that you have way too much time in your hand arguing about mundane topics when the truth of the matter is, the only thing that, oh man, you breaking up, brother. You breaking up a little bit. Yeah, LeBron, I think you're breaking up, brother. All right, but so basically, let me go ahead and finish my thought, brother. If you can still hear me, let me go ahead and finish up my thought, and I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up. So, and if hopefully if your signal comes in, all right, you good to go now, brother? Oh no, you still sound like you chopping up. I can kind of hear the background. So real quick, y'all, this is all I gotta say. LeBron let it be known at the beginning what's going on. I really wanted him to share some thoughts on some of the other things that I was kind of mentioning, regarding Michael Edwards' character problems. And it's funny because he seems to have these issues with people in private, but when he's out in the open, he's very cordial. You saw his conversation with Shaka Abmos. The man was very respectful. So I find it telling that with a non-believer, he's very respectful, cordial. But with people who actually believe in the Bible, he's disrespectful. That makes no sense to me. And I think a lot of that has to go in with also his, I guess you could say, ego stroking of the conscious community, which I don't understand in the slightest. He claims that, oh, he's just doing it, because he considers them their brother, the people over there, his brothers, even though they don't believe in the Lord, even though they're quote unquote banging on the Bible. But truth be told, friendship with the world is enmity with God. I wonder if Michael knows that. And that doesn't mean you have to be mean to those people. It's that obviously, your allegiance is first and foremost to the Bible. But I wonder if that's even Michael's allegiance at the end of the day. It doesn't seem like it is. It seems like his allegiance is to pride, and it's to boasting in nationality, or perhaps even in skin color. But truth be told, the Apostle Paul considered all those things, nationality, as dung in comparison to Christ in Philippians. I mean, you do know that verse in Philippians, right? Where he says that I considered all these things dung for Christ. So with that being said, man, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap things up. And this will probably be the only video that I make on this. I honestly didn't want to make this video, but Michael kind of forced my hand. And I will be putting that verse in 2 Timothy into practice. I will not be striving over words. I just did this simply to make sure that the man was not tarnishing my character. And with that being said, y'all, I hope that this edifies somebody out there. I'll be putting together more content in the future. Be on the lookout for that. I know I've been away. Yeah, man. Hopefully somebody learned from this, man. And I hope that someone was Michael Edwards. With that being said, take care, y'all. God bless.